Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that is all strategy and no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies for serious Amazon sellers. So our guest today is a serial entrepreneur of the highest caliber, from being a top salesman at the age of 11 to running his own ice cream store to founding AccrueMe, one of the fastest growing and definitely one of the most innovative capital lending services for e-commerce sellers. With zero interest, no required payments, and no loss of ownership. He's one of the most accomplished and wide-ranging entrepreneurs I've met in the Amazon space, and really just such an impressive guy when I ran into him at the Prosper Show a few months ago that I really wanted to get him on the podcast, and we're very blessed to have him with us today. So without further ado, please welcome Don Henig.
You said it right. That's great. Thank you, John. That was very nice. I
should have confirmed that, shouldn't I? Like pronunciation.
You did it perfect.
So Don, thank you for being here. Where are you today?
I'm in New York on Long Island. I live on a nice little lake, flows down into the ocean down at the end of the block, and I'm less than an hour into Manhattan, which is best of both worlds.
No, it's really cool. I mean, I'd love to be that close to New York and in nature, which is one of the really cool things you can get in the US.
It's amazing what I see on a daily basis out my window. It's fantastic. I love it.
No, I love it. It's so cool. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey? I know you've been a serial entrepreneur for a few years. I mean, I guess 11 was a few years ago. How's that journey been, and what have been kind of some of the highs and lows, I guess, of that journey?
And feel free to ask about lows as well, because everybody likes to talk about the highs and the making the millions of dollars and all that stuff. But every entrepreneur has, stories of holy cow, how, you wouldn't believe what happened. But, my story is kind of interesting because I didn't stay in one thing. I jumped around. I built a financial planning company. I built a mortgage company and sold that. I started a mortgage broker franchise. It's something that's never been done. It's a new industry, and built it to 760 units nationwide and sold that within 18 months. Took a break, started a publishing company because I enjoyed being out in the fields with the kids. So I started a soccer publishing newsletter and built it to 167,000. This is prior to digital, 167,000 copies every month. And I did everything. I got all the pictures, the articles, the advertisements, and it made a lot of money. And I sold that. Built technology companies, other mortgage companies, started an entertainment company from scratch. Never did it before, never thought about it, but just saw, a friend of mine was in it. And he needed help. So I basically said, let me give you a job instead of, investing in a movie, let me invest in you. And so we started a business. And we did 8 feature-length films with the biggest name stars, Tom Cruise, Natalie Portman, Mark Ruffalo, all of them. And, that was a lot of fun. Plus, we created and produced the Broadway show Rock of Ages, which ended up as the 30th longest running play of all time. So that was a lot of fun. The one thing about Hollywood, I'll tell you, and Broadway, is the best parties of all time. Without question. We had so much fun. It was out of control how much fun it was. Yeah. Constantly flying from New York to Beverly Hills for meetings and parties. It was a lot of fun. But I did a whole bunch of things, and then I took another break. It was my third break in my career. And this last time I was out for 5 years. And, my wife called it retirement, and I started to agree because I was golfing a lot. We were going all over the world, traveling, just for fun. We were doing anything going on anywhere. At a drop of a moment, we would just go and be there. There was nothing holding us back. We would boat and take our boat all over the East Coast and have a ball. So I was pretty much done. And then a friend of mine from the mortgage industry from a long time ago told me about Amazon sellers. And I knew nothing about it. I thought Jeff Bezos sent me everything. I didn't know I had no idea, never heard of FBA or FBM or any of this. And this is just like 4.5 years ago. So, I love helping people grow businesses, and I love mentoring younger people. So I went to bed that night and thinking about, 2 million Amazon sellers. And I went to bed thinking, and not just thinking, but dreaming and I pictured myself on a stage talking to thousands and thousands of Amazon sellers and helping them grow their businesses. And I hadn't had a dream like that in years. So I woke up in the morning so invigorated and so excited to help people that I'm like, holy cow, I guess I have to start a business. So we looked into it and we came up with a completely new model, something that's never been done. And, it's just, it's fantastic. It's so much fun. We're helping sellers grow faster than they ever could have in any other scenario possible. And, so that's what we did. That's my story.
Well, I love it. I mean, it's an amazing story. So, I mean, I'd love to dive in and unpack a few pieces of that, and then we'll definitely
Feel free.
Get into AccrueMe, because I think AccrueMe is a super cool model.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you talk quite a bit about getting into different industries. Like if you're going to go into a new business, new industry, I mean, literally you saw it and you want it. What's your approach to that?
I have a saying that I think that I apply to any business, and it's very simple. Start stupid. You're not going to know everything. You're just not. So you know how the Lao Tzu has that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Same thing. If you start down a path of a business, think about the Amazon world. If you knew, let's say you're in it for 4 years, 5 years now. If day one, when you were thinking about it, you knew everything that you had to learn, that you learned over the last 4 to 5 years, it would have been overwhelming. You wouldn't have done it. Nobody would have. It's like, there's no way I could ever do that. But if you just take it step by step by step, you're going to get there eventually. And that's the way I looked at businesses. I've never been afraid to just jump in and start a business. When I started my financial planning company, I would have been pretty smart to go work for a financial planning company. I didn't want to do that. I could have gone and worked for a mortgage company. I didn't know anything about the mortgage industry, but I went out and I learned and I asked questions, and then I just did it myself. And so that I could teach everybody in my company, and we built a very large company very quickly. I didn't know anything about publishing, zero. But, I just thought to myself, can't be that difficult. And, I couldn't do the artwork, so I had to, outsource that. And certainly you could outsource the printing. But I did everything else. I was a one-man show and making a lot of money very, very quickly on that. But here's my theory on starting businesses. You start, as I said, start stupid. And the other thing is a theory called the corridor effect. So think of like a long corridor, a long hallway. And if you're down and there's no lights on, and you're down at the front door of this long hallway, and you're looking down, you can't see very far because it's dark. But as you start going down that path, that hallway, which is starting a business, you're going to run into obstacles that you didn't see. And, it might be something that you could trip over, but you see it at the last second and you learn to step over it. So you've overcome that obstacle. And further on down the hallway, you might run into a window or a door. And it's another opportunity that you never would have known about unless you started down this path. So if you go down the Amazon path, you see people, they're good sellers. They're doing really, really well. And then next thing you know, they're teaching other Amazon sellers about PPC or about whatever it may be. And they start a new business training people on PPC. They wouldn't have known that unless they went down that path. So I believe that when you start a business, you have to have two things. No fear, just take the steps and be prepared to change, to move, to go in a new direction when you see those opportunities. And that's, I think, every business. So.
No, I love it. And I totally agree there. I mean, if I hadn't started selling on Amazon 8 years ago, I wouldn't have seen the opportunity to start our business, to start other businesses, to partner with friends on different things. I wouldn't have met half the people in my network.
Yep.
It's amazing, isn't it? The journey is really cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And who knows who you're going to meet tomorrow. And it could be something that we do together. And, there's always these synergies that pop up that are very exciting, and you wouldn't have ever found them unless you took the path and went down the road. So I think I'm a firm believer in people starting their own businesses. I wrote a chapter in a book called "Don't Look for a Job, Create One." And it's just very simple. And you're creating the job for yourself. You know, I know that sounds crazy. You don't want a job, this and that, but that's too bad. That's what it is. And but then in addition, you could have, you know, hundreds and thousands of employees that are, you know, feeding off of this business that you've created. And then, you know, other people look at it like, wow, you make too much money then. Well, no. Now, if you're making a lot of money, you're able to help even more people. I can't tell you how many people I've helped. And I contribute all the time to a lot of different charities that I believe in. Every month, you know, it's automatic. But I also do a ton of charity work face to face, like going to people's houses with food and money and things like that. And, you know, reading something and then, you know, finding out how to help that person, you know, and it's one of the most heartwarming things you could ever do. So anyway.
No, it must
be.
What
I do.
No, thank you. And I mean, thank you for sharing, because what I realized the more I talk to more and more experienced entrepreneurs is the path of a business. It's not like we're not discovering the new thing over and over again. It's like there are definitely milestones. And there's definitely things that happen and things that break, usually at certain stages, pretty much every time.
Always. And you can't be afraid of it. You know, when I started my first mortgage company, after the first year, I went to my two partners because I did everything. And I said, hey, guys, this is not working out. I'm doing all the work and I didn't take any money. And, you know, you guys are getting, you know, 2/3 of the company. And, you know, why don't we just split it up and, you know, think about it over the next couple of weeks and we'll find a fair way to do it. And that's it. You know, let's just do something fair. Well, a few days later, I was out of the office. They came into my office, physically put my assistant in a corner, took everything. This is pre-internet, took everything, took the checkbook, took all the files, took everything. And, you know, so here I am. I come home that night. I didn't know this happened. There was no cell phones at the time. I come home that night and my wife, who's pregnant with our first child, and my assistant was in the house and they were both crying. Like, you know, we're out of business. And I had $1,300 in the bank. That's it. How do you start a business from with nothing? And so I told my assistant, look, I'm going to be working on, you know, getting some of the files back. You have to go out and find a space. And, you know, she did. And literally within days, we had space and phones. And I arranged to take, you know, a small percentage of the files just because I knew they were going to close fast and give me cash flow. And before you know it, I was one of the 2 or 3 largest in New York State, and they were put out of business by the Attorney General. And I had nothing to do with it. I don't spend a moment of my life in negativity. So, you know, I never went after them. I never even thought about them. I just focused on positive things like building my business. And we did, and was able to sell it, you know, make a lot of money.
That's awesome. And so when you say you never spend a moment of your life in negativity, is that an ethos that you have?
You know, if you spend time, you get screwed in a deal, you know. And I'll give you a good example. I sold a business, and the people I sold it to screwed me. And it turns out I was young and stupid, and I didn't know to get a good M&A lawyer. I had a lawyer who said, "Oh, congratulations! I'll help you, and I'll handle the transaction." I'm like, "Wow, how nice is that?" You know, you've helped me all this time. I'm going to help you now. Ugh. He was a real estate lawyer. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. So I had no protections in this agreement. Long story short, I got ripped off, or they held back like $1 million. So every night you go to bed and you're thinking, oh, that letter I wrote, or that email I wrote, or that phone call, that's going to prove my case. And you go to your lawyer and say, look what I have. And the lawyer says, that's great. It's not going to hold up in court, something along those lines. And next thing you know, you're months into this and you're not sleeping well, and you're thinking about how you're going to get them and get your money back. And one day I woke up and I said, I'm not going to spend another day of my life doing this. I called my lawyer and I told him, settle. And he said, you realize you're not going to get much money. You're going to pay your lawyer's fees, and you're going to get a little bit of money from after that. I said, I understand, but I'm never going to live like this again. And it was only a few months, and literally never thought about it again, never lived in negativity again. So I'm a firm believer in being positive. And, people kid me saying that I was born with rose-colored glasses, because I believe everything is possible. Everything is possible. And so that's who I am.
Well, that's a great way to live, and I love it.
It's a great way to live. I love it.
It's awesome. So you've been through many, many rapid growth businesses.
Yep.
And, some of them, it sounds like with a lot of your personal sweat moving the thing forward, especially at the start, I mean, probably all the way to the end. Like, what do you focus on for that level of growth? Because there's always a million things that can suck your time. Yeah.
When you're building a business or starting a business, like my first mortgage company, the first hire I made was a sales manager. It sounds crazy. Well, I had an assistant, I had an underwriter, but I went out and hired a sales manager. Why are you hiring a sales manager when you don't have salespeople? And I said, the way I'm looking at it, I was looking at it as a much bigger company down the road. So how do you do it? Hire somebody who's going to be the sales manager. Your job is to go out and recruit all these salespeople and create a culture that's going to be positive and affirming to everybody. And anybody that is unpleasant in the company, they're out immediately. And we don't put up with that from anybody. And now I'm going to focus on other things like getting cheaper money and, getting better deals and building a big company overall. That was it. So I'm always thinking of, hiring that marketing director as opposed to just a marketing person. Who could be that marketing person that legitimately could be the marketing director when you have 10 people in your marketing department. And so always thinking bigger picture as opposed to, oh, this kid can do email marketing. That's wonderful, but I need somebody who's got a big vision, who's going to do everything. And even if I only need email marketing. So, if you're building a big company, managing your org chart is critical. So when I had thousands of employees, on my desk all the time was my org chart. And I was always looking at it and reducing the number of direct reports to me and reducing the number of direct reports to my direct reports and looking through the organization to make sure that everybody had the proper number of direct reports and not too many. Because if they have too many, they'll never get the job done properly. And the consumers will be affected. The other companies will be affected. You can't do that. So managing your org chart, I would say if you're thinking big, that's critical. That's the number one thing. And creating a great culture in your company, which means knowing your people, knowing what they're about, knowing what they want in life. If they're doing whatever for you, they're doing creative, well, that's well and good. Is that what they want to do in life? Do they, what courses can they take to improve their knowledge in whatever it may be? So offering education to all of your people all the time. Just yesterday I was suggesting to one of our guys, it's time for an Excel course, and he took Excel in college, but he's not that good at it now. So let's get you a course and raise your level. And he's thrilled about it, So things like that. So always looking at your team, building a great culture, which means, caring about your people. And if you care about your people, then when you make a bad hire, and you got to get rid of them immediately. That's how you protect your team. Otherwise, you leave the bad people in there and the good people quietly will leave.
Yeah, we've experienced that. As we grew rapidly, especially the lower for the people that I wasn't speaking to every day, as we got past 30, 40 people, and I just don't talk to these people more than once every month. We ended up with a few bad people, and then it took some effort and some time to fix that, which was a pain in the ass.
But once as you get larger and larger, and you've built the proper culture, the whole organization fits that culture. And then when you make a mistake and hire the wrong person, they will stand out like a sore thumb. Yeah. You'll see them. It'll be so crystal clear. And I used to say to all my managers, I remember being in a meeting with like 60 of our managers, and I said, exactly what I'm saying here. When you make a mistake, we've got to get rid of them. You got to fire them right away. And one of the managers said, well, what about HR? HR says we have to give them a 60-day, notice, and we have to do this and we have to do that. I said, no. You fire them right now. That's why we have lawyers. I don't care. I don't want those people in my company. End of story.
Yeah, that's a great attitude.
It really is.
So I guess just my interest, and I'm sure anyone who's listening to this in the future will get for theirs. Like when you're looking at these people, these people who can develop into these roles.
Yeah.
How do you think about cash flow? Because I guess usually these are expensive, medium to expensive hires. Hopefully they've got opportunity, but usually good people know their worth. Like
not necessarily. Not necessarily. No, you have to stay within your budget. But when you're meeting with somebody, you could pretty often you're going to know this person's got something special.
Do they have an ethos?
Do they what?
Do they have an ethos? That's the question I always think. Like for leadership people, it's like, can they explain to me how the world works from their point of view, and is it different from what I think? Because it means at least they've thought about it and thought of the ethos behind what they do, as opposed to, I create emails, as you said.
Right, exactly. I ask questions like, if you could picture this role in 3 years, what would it look like? And let them. I'm hoping they paint a big picture, and if they paint a smaller picture, they may just be afraid. And I'm gonna nudge them and say something along the lines of, all right, that's well and good, but think bigger. What if you had no obstacles? What if I just said, John, you're the guy, you're the person that we need to build this company, and you're in marketing, and I want to see somebody who's got the ability to own the marketing department and hire the people and train them and learn about anything and everything and never be afraid of somebody under them knowing more than them. Is that something that you would be comfortable doing, or is that something that you would rather be working for somebody like that? And let them think, let them, have some fun with it. Also, the personality tests. I don't know if you've ever done any of the personality tests, but they are so valuable. Anybody that's running a company right now, the big personality test is Briggs-Stratton, and do it on yourself, and then look at the results, and then do it on your spouse and your friends and other people in your company. And if you have 10 people in your company, you did it on all 10, and you put the results on the table, every single person would say, that's Joe, that's Susie, that's this one, that's that one. It nails it to a T. So you'll know if you're taking someone who should be an accountant and you're putting them into a marketing role, you may be making a mistake. If you're taking somebody who should be an accountant and is in a sales role, maybe they have some sales, ability as well, but a lot of times no. So don't go against what these tests are telling you. They're telling you the truth, and you can even see it. I've seen it in myself over the years. I've done them a number of times, and they've changed because I've changed. I've adjusted my thinking over 30 years, and what I was when I started to what I am now would be completely different.
Yeah, you're right. I've had a lot of our team members do it, and I went against what I thought. One of them, we need this guy into this role, but his disc profile does not at all fit this type of role. Hired him, and it didn't fit. He just didn't fit the role.
It's unbelievable. I've done the exact same thing, and I've learned you got to trust them. So many of the very, very large companies with, tens of thousands of people, every single person does one of these. And they all have their score. So everybody knows, what your pi score is or whatever it might be.
Yeah. So you're like, this is how you should interact with this person. This is the way you should communicate with this type of person. This is how they like. It's
so true. I worked at a company where I was growing their sales nationwide, billions and billions of dollars. And when we did these tests, the guy who was doing the testing called me at night in my hotel room to tell me that I am in a bad situation because two of the people I'm working with that are above me at the time were narcissists. And there's no way that they will ever play nice with someone like me. where I'm a all in, everybody wins. I don't care about the credit. I don't care about anything. I just want everybody to win. And they were exactly opposite. He literally called me to warn me. And he was 100% correct. 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, you must have made a great impression on him as well. If he called you to tell you that.
It was amazing. There's so much more to that story, but yeah. What he did was he said, look, I'd like to do these tests. And this is a private equity firm that was doing it. A high-end attorney. This cost a lot of money. And he said, I said, boy, my kids would get something out of this. My kids were, 17 and 19 at the time. And he said, I would love to do it for free for your family. And I'm like, wow, that's really, really kind. He did. It was very nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you've got so many stories done. I'm sure all the listeners and also me, I'd love to take you out for dinner whenever you're in town, in anywhere within a 2-hour flight of me.
I'm in.
30-hour flight of me, which I think you are right now.
Yeah, really.
Legitimately. Well, thank you for sharing your story. It's so inspirational, absolutely amazing. And I would spend another hour on it or 2 hours on it. And I really want to get into AccrueMe because
all right.
I want to add value for you and also for our listeners who can use AccrueMe.
Sounds
we've
got,
good. 200 plus accounts who are all potentially, in the right size, right model for you guys.
Yeah.
So, we talked a little bit about why you started AccrueMe. You woke up, you had this inspiration of actually wanting to make an impact again and being really engaged. So what was the model? You said this is the model. Like, what is the new model?
So, what we did was my partner and I sat down and I did research on the lending products that were out there for Amazon sellers. And I didn't like anything I saw. I was a little surprised. I'll leave that with that comment. And I said to my partner, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to play in that kind of game. And he said, well, why don't we do something different? I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, I don't know. Let's brainstorm. And so over a 90-minute lunch, this is kind of amazing. Over a lunch in Manhattan, we came up with this plan. And I came home that night. I wrote out a 20-page document outlining the way the company will be done and the way the company will grow and what it will look like over time and all of that stuff. The technology, I drew out the technology, and then I built a spreadsheet, detailing the numbers. And I called them and I said, oh my God, the sellers are going to kill it with this model. We thought it was good, but when you build a spreadsheet, you really realize how great it is. There's nothing like it. So here's what we do. And I'll tell you flat out that the big objection we get is it sounds too good to be true. And come on, what's the catch? There is no catch. And it does sound too good to be true, but it's all real. So here's what we do. We give the seller the money to grow. We don't lend them the money. We invest in their business on a temporary basis. So we give them the money. We don't take any equity in their business. All right. So we invest, but we don't take equity. And they own 100% of the company. So we invest in their business on a temporary basis. We don't charge any interest. We don't charge any fees. We don't have a term. So use the money as long as you want or as short as you want. If you use it for 6 months and you decide you want to pay it off, pay it off. There's no penalty. There's nothing. There's no fees. There's no interest. And then the real kicker is there's no required monthly payments. So the thinking here is, why would you take money out of your business when you have an opportunity to grow and send it to a lender? That is counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense for your business. It's good for the lender. It's not good for you. So we said, let's get rid of the payments. You pay us when it's right for you and your business. We have companies that we've invested in that haven't paid us in over 2 years. Our very first client, husband and wife team, didn't pay us for 18 months. They paid us, the first payment was in the 19th month. We've never asked anybody for money. Never. It just doesn't happen. And what do we get out of it? So what's the catch? What do we get out of it? We get a percentage of profits for as long as you use our money. That's it. You stop using our money, it's over. It's all yours. And the way that we set up the percentage of profits is so that the seller can't lose. So here's the way it works at a high level without getting into details right now. But at a high level, the seller earns 100% of the profit on their capital. Then they get half the profit on our capital. So now they double the capital of their business to grow their business. They grow by leaps and bounds because they're not taking money out of their business. They're leaving money in the business. We don't take anything out. So if we earn $1,000 and the seller wants us to take the $1,000, we're happy to take it. But in Q3 and Q4, no seller wants us to take any payments. They want to, just keep using the money, and growing by leaps and bounds. And that's what they do. Our sellers are growing so fast, it's out of control. And our sellers love us. We're the #1 rated capital provider on Seller Central. And, we're virtually unknown, basically, because we're not playing in the same game as everyone else, with revenue-based loans and all of that. What we get, John, is we get so many sellers that come to us and they hear the story and they're like, it sounds great, but it's new. It sounds different. I'm not sure. I'm going to go with a lender. And they go with a lender, and then 3, 4, 5 months later, they come back to us and they go, I can't afford this. The monthly payments, I'm earning, $5,000 a month in profit, and my monthly payments are $8,000. Yeah. It's only so long you can go with that scenario before you're going to go bankrupt. And I'll shut up right after this. If you just use this as an analogy, if you think about it as your personal finances, let's say you're buying a house and you take out and your take-home pay from your job is $5,000.
Yeah. And
you get a mortgage, and the mortgage payment is $8,000. How long is it going to be before you file bankruptcy? Maybe you can last a year, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but you're going to be going down that tube and you're going to be losing it all. Same thing with your business. If you're taking out a loan and your profit is $10,000 and your monthly payment is $8,000 or $9,000 or $11,000 or $12,000, you're dead. You can't grow, and you're going to be out of business at some point in time. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So how do you judge the amount of capital in a business so that you can put your percentage in their percentage?
Great question. So capital and profit are the two big things to define. So capital is very easy for us. We are only counting the Amazon business at current. So your inventory in the Amazon business plus your receivable from Amazon. Add those two together, and that's how much we'll match you. So if they came out to 20,000, I'm just using whatever number, it doesn't matter. If they came out to 20,000, we'll offer you 20,000, and you can take less. And we tell people all the time, take the least amount you need, because why would you take more and leave it in the bank? Because then you're paying for nothing. You're not getting any value. But with a regular loan, you get approved for that 20,000, and you need $8,000 today. You're taking the whole 20. They're not offering you, they're offering you 20,000. End of story. So you're taking the 20. You need, let's just say 10. The other 10 is just sitting in the bank doing nothing. So that just doubled your cost of funds.
Yeah.
Because you're paying on 20,000, but you're only using 10 to grow your business.
Yeah, and they're giving you a percentage of profit in the same way. If they're taking more money, they're giving you a higher percentage, even though they're not using the money.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. So I'm going to give you something interesting that I think everybody, if they just remember this, they can write it down, but it's really simple. What does a monthly payment cost you? So, all right, let's say your monthly payment is $12,000 on a loan. What did that cost you? Well, let me ask, what is your monthly ROI? Let's assume it's 10% to keep it simple. So your monthly payment is $12,000. It didn't just cost you $12,000, because think about it. If you had that $12,000 in your business being deployed, you'd earn another 10%. That's your ROI. So you would have earned $1,200 on that. Not just this month, but every month going forward, you lost that $1,200. And next month, you have another $12,000 payment. Now you're losing $2,400 a month in profit every single month going forward. And then $3,600 a month. It's, people don't realize that a monthly payment doesn't cost you just what you're taking out of your bank account to send to a lender. It's costing you actual profit. It's very expensive.
So how do you define? Yeah, it really is. So I mean, how do you define profit? So as the percentage of money you are owed. Obviously, you don't take it back, but this accumulating pool of capital that you're owed back. How do you define the profit?
So profit is very simple. It's the revenue from Amazon, less your cost of goods sold, less all the Amazon fees, including PPC. And if you're using a 3PL, less 3PL costs as well. And that's profit. If you have, 10 employees and your own warehouse, you have a lot of other expenses outside of that. So it probably may not work for you. But if you're running most of the way most of these Amazon businesses are run with a couple of VAs and a 3PL, almost all of it is included.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's all trackable through the API.
All trackable. And so that's the whole key to what we do. We have to see everything. So it's all got to be trackable.
Nice. And I mean, I guess, ideally people are taking this money and building momentum and increasing their business. So I guess also, hopefully increasing the business, everything going well, though actually this money that I owe you is quite accumulating pretty quickly, probably, if everything goes to plan.
What happens is their business grows so large that I'll give you an example in a second, that we become a smaller and smaller percentage of the business. So think about it. Organically, this happens. It's a mind-blowing, thing here with the math. But as they do well, they're earning the vast majority of the funds. So if they start with 50,000,
it's just continuously based on your capital versus their capital. So you're not getting a percentage. You're not getting in at 40% and keeping 40.
No.
Okay.
It adjusts every month. It depends on whatever percentage of the capital we represent, cut it in half. And that's what we get for that month. So if you have 90,000 and you take 10,000 from us, so we're 10% of the total, we get 5% of the profit. So what does that mean? It means if you run the math, and we take nothing for the first 30 days, we don't earn anything for 30 days. But if you run the math, no matter what, you end up with 100% of the profit that you would have earned, plus half of the profit on the money that we give you.
Cool.
You can't lose. And what happens if you get suspended? You don't make any money. We don't make any money.
Yeah.
What if you have a bad month or 2 months or 3 months and something happens and Amazon, like with COVID, they stopped letting you send in products. You don't make any money. We don't make any money. You have a good month. We have a good month. You have a bad month. We have a bad month. It's the way it works.
No, I love it. I like the monthly reset thing. I didn't understand. So that I was actually thought that, you'd be riding up the percentage as well as basically a percentage ownership for that time. So yeah, if it resets monthly, that makes a lot more sense.
Oh yeah. So use 20,000 as an example. All right. Just because it's simple. So, and you'll see why it's so simple in a second, but let's say that the seller had $20,000 of capital and they're earning 10%. So they would earn $2,000. And now we give them 20,000. Again, we don't earn anything for the first 30 days, but they're going to start earning basically the same ROI without question. Everybody pretty much agrees with that. So 20,000, they're going to earn $2,000. We give them 20,000, they're going to earn another 2,000. So now combined, they're going to earn $4,000.
Yeah.
Their 20,000, our 20,000. We represent 50% of the capital in the business. Cut us in half. Okay. So we get 25% of the profit that month. That's the most we ever get. So how do the numbers work? They get 75% of the profit. So they get 3,000. We get 25%, 1,000. So what did they get? They got the 2,000 they would have earned plus half of the other 2,000. So now go to the next month. We leave our money in, assuming they leave their money in as well. The next month, there's $24,000 to grow your business. As opposed to taking money out of your business, money's going into your business. So now they, in the second month, they don't have 20,000 and we have 20,000. They have 23 and we have 21. Right? So they represent 52% and we're 48. So our profit percentage just dropped down to 24%. So naturally, just automatically, if you started at the top level, 50-50, over the next, year or so, our profit percentage drops down to like 8%. Yeah. So, but what really ends up happening is that the sellers get comfortable, and then they go hog wild. They see that, the opportunities they have to grow, and they just go and go and go, and they get so excited. So I'll give you a quick example. One guy, young guy, 22 years old, last December, he called us and talked to us, and his net profit in December, a good month, as we all know, was $1,500. All right, 1,500. So nothing great. In January, we gave him 25,000. February, we gave him more. March, we gave him more, because he kept deploying the money very fast. He's in the wholesale model. And so he was deploying it very fast, and it was turning over fast, and he was earning profits. And as his business was growing, we kept matching him and giving him more money if he wanted it. And he did. So he went from $1,500 in profit in December. By May, his net profit was $44,000. By July, his net profit was $56,000. And by the end of this year, I'm expecting from last year in December, him earning $1,500. This year in December, I expect him to earn somewhere between $70,000 to $100,000 in net profit. And he's 23 now. And so I did ask him, I called him one day and I said, so tell me, what are you doing? Not everybody has this kind of growth, but, pretty much all of our sellers have tremendous growth. We have plenty of sellers that have doubled in a month, which is kind of crazy, but we've seen it, time and time and time again. I said, what did you do? He said, I took your advice. I said, what did I say? I don't remember. And he said, you told me to focus on our growth. You told me to get rid of all the BS in my life. And because he lived in a very, very nice apartment, very expensive. He had a really fancy car. I said, you're 22 years old. That's not what you need to be doing. What you need to be doing is get within yourself and go after growth. And here's the saying that I like to use. Go after growth like a man whose hair is on fire searching for a pond. So think of that. That guy is not going to stop for anything. He's going to find water to put his head at, that's on fire. He's going to find water to get that out, right? There's no question about it. There's nobody could stop that person. So he said to me, I got rid of my apartment. I sold the car. I got a truck. My girlfriend and I live in our warehouse, and I'm 100% focused on the business. And he's happy as could be. He's been on vacations. He's living, a good life. He's not, living like a destitute, but he's living great, but he's not wasting his money on a bunch of garbage. He's putting it into the business. He wants to be a millionaire. He's going to get there very quickly.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah. And we have plenty of those stories. It's so exciting to see. It's life-changing.
Yeah. No, it's great. And to make that impact is super amazing.
Oh, it's great. And you can see, like I said, I called him. Well, I talked to a lot of our sellers. One of our sellers reached out to me, sent me an email maybe 2 months ago, because he saw an opportunity. I was outside of this. He saw an opportunity to buy a very large FBA business. And he's never done it. And he sent me a note, would you be willing to talk to me? And of course. So we got on the phone, and we've had probably 24 conversations since. And I actually got on the first call with him and the seller that he was going to buy the business from. And the deal's going through. And it's a huge deal. And he's going to make millions from it. But he didn't know how to get there. So I was able to help him get there and understand everything. And, anyway.
Well, thank you. That's the community. That's super cool.
Well, it's just wonderful, to be able to help somebody, and, great guy, wonderful guy, but it's going to be life-changing.
Yeah, for sure. So is there a limit to what you can use this money for?
We like people to use it for inventory, but they literally can take money out of the business as well. We have one rule. We don't want to have more money in the business than them. So if you remember the capital, they have inventory plus their receivable. Whatever that number is, if it goes up, we'll give them more. If it goes down, we have to take some out. because we're not going to be more than 50-50. And what that does is it protects the sellers as well. It's good for us, but it also protects the sellers. And I'm going to explain why. I've seen more than half a dozen sellers come to me in the last few months that I had seen prior, and now they're what's termed in the lending world upside down. So they have loans of $1 million and assets or capital less than that. So, 700,000, 600,000. And a year ago, they had no loans and they were healthy as could be.
Yeah.
So they literally are upside down in their business, and it's only a matter of time before they're going to go out. And it's the saddest thing in the world. One of the biggest, a very, very large private label company with no debt a year ago, run and owned by one of the largest influencers in this industry that everybody would know and everybody likes and trusts because he's very smart and to no fault of his own, because he just didn't understand the deal. When I looked at he showed me the contract and everything that they had, I couldn't figure it out. It was so confusing. So I feel terrible, but if you get into that situation, get out of it quickly. If you get into a situation that you don't understand, if you get into a situation where your monthly payments are too high, get out of it quickly. If you don't like the idea of making no payments, then feel free, come to us and make all the payments you want. We had one client once who every month she paid us whatever was that we earned. That's just that was her personal thing. Nobody else has ever done that.
Yeah. But no, it sucks when we all make decisions that takes in the wrong direction, and it just sucks to bite the bullet and deal with it, doesn't it?
It's terrible. It's very sad. And I don't blame him at all, because again, I couldn't figure it out. It sounds good from a sales standpoint. It sounded good, but it's just not good. Yeah. And it once you're in it. So once you're in it and you start realizing that you have a problem, get out quickly. Don't wait.
Yeah. No, that's amazing advice. Actually, look at the numbers and see what's happening.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Is there anything else that any listeners, any people watching the replays should know about AccrueMe?
We're very easy. We're a very easy application process. It takes about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to fill it out on our site. It's just simple. We don't let anybody come in without knowing what's going on. So what we do is our process is, yes, you fill out an application, you give us access to the store so we can, at your Seller Central, so that we can see what's going on. That's it. We ask for your cost per unit because we're the only ones that actually care about profit. Amazon doesn't. Nobody else cares about profit. They care about your revenue. We care about profit. We don't care about revenue. So that's it. That's the whole process. And then we give you what we can do. And we sit down with every single seller and we take the entire agreement and we broke it out into like 14 key points that they should know in plain English. And I know it's plain English because I'm from Brooklyn and I wrote it and I'm not a lawyer. So it's very, very simple. And nobody gets into the deal with us and says, oh, I didn't know. That never happens. They know, and we make sure they know. And we explain everything. So you'll never have to worry about, being bamboozled or pushed into something. We're pushing you to take lower amount than higher amount because it's better for you. We have plenty of sellers that have come in and they take $20,000. And then next week, literally, they come in and they take, $2,372. Like, why that? Well, that was an invoice that they had. And and then the next week it's $5,422, things like that. And they're using it exactly the smartest way. They're not taking extra money that's just sitting in the bank. It's brilliant. I just saw an account that did that, and we're in for $170,000 with them. But they started with $17,000.
I love it.
Isn't it? It's amazing.
So how should people apply if they're interested?
Go to AccrueMe.com and click on Get a Funding Offer. Again, we're the top-rated capital provider on Amazon Seller Central. There's plenty of testimonials on the site, plenty more coming. We just surveyed our entire universe, and we came back with something like 99 I don't know, 9. It was some crazy number of people that rated us a 10 on would you refer us to your friends, your seller friends. And it was a 10 with all these great comments. It was fantastic, really heartwarming to see. We feel really good about it. But you'll never be pushed into it. You'll be pushed to take the least amount. Take your time. If you're uncomfortable, don't do it. And a lot of people, they'll come in and they'll say, all right, I want to do this, but I want to, ease into it. Smart, ease into it. All right, I'm only going to take $12,000 right now. And that's great. Take whatever it is. And then you'll get comfortable. And before you know it, you're going to be so comfortable. And we have a portal that our sellers go into. And it always shows them how much more money they can take. If they want to pay us, they just click here. If they want to pay an invoice, they click here. They see their P&L all the time, every minute, every day. It's pretty good. They end up loving it 100%.
Oh, that's cool. And so when you say they can pay an invoice, does that mean that they can pay directly from you to a supplier?
Yeah.
So you can handle international payments as well?
I apologize. So they can wire funds domestically. International, there's a service, and I don't remember the name of the service that most of our sellers use, and we're able to wire to them, and they do the foreign exchange
stuff.
There's a load
of them.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's a few. I don't remember who most of them use. And one last thing, John, is that if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, I do it through LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me. It's my full name, Donald Henig, Henig. And, I'm not one of these people that you connect with and just, doesn't respond. You call me with anything, I'll respond. Even if you're not a seller yet and you're just, thinking about it and you have questions, I'm that kind of a person that I try to help as many people as I can. If I can help you, I will.
Well, thanks, Don. That really comes across. So I'd encourage anyone to reach out to Don. I had some amazing catch-ups and meetings with him in Prosper. So thank you, Don.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, John.
Well, we have another section of the show where you can support us in giving some stuff away. So this is the part of the show where we go into giving back to our audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to announce some winners from last week. Then Don's put forward some amazing prizes to add to our wheel. So we'll be spinning that shortly. And that's it. Ready to dive in? All right.
Thank you.
All right. And we're back. All right, so we don't yet have any sound effects, so we have to clap while I announce the 2 winners. I'm gonna get a button. I've already got a button. I just haven't attached it to anything. So we have 2 winners from last week. First one is for AI Hello, which is an AI-powered PPC solution, one of the top-rated solutions on the Amazon store. And the winner of that 6-month free account is Elise Adams. So congratulations, Elise. Our team will be introducing you to them this week. And the second one, Ecom Balance. So we had Nathan Hirsch on a few weeks ago. And Tanya Tan has won $1,000 of bookkeeping credit. So get your book sorted. We're actually working with Nathan at the moment, getting onboarded to test their system. Seems great. And, if you're a smaller seller, $1,000 could be 4 or 5 months. If you're a larger seller, 1 to 2 months. So, we'll introduce you to Nathan this week.
That's great.
Congratulations, Tanya. So I'm going to, usually I have Viv for this, but I'm going to share this. Can you see my wheel?
There it is. There it is.
Perfect. I'm going to turn off the sound. All right. So we're going to spin it 2 or 3 times. Hopefully someone wins your prize, Don. If not, actually we'll be pushing you next time.
I hope so too.
What Don's put forward is $500 for any seller we fund via the podcast. So any $500 for anyone extra that we fund who comes from this. We have a 30-minute consultation with Don, priceless, at least $1,000. And AccrueMe swag box. You might have to be in the US for that, but hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, if you can get one of these amazing shirts as modeled by Don or something similar.
There we go.
And you and Don can wear it while you have your call. So, Don, you're in control. All you have to do is say, spin that wheel, and the wheel will
Spin
spin.
that wheel.
This is where we need the music.
Do I need to say stop, or does it just go by itself?
That'll stop.
Look at that. Wow.
And it's you. And there's nothing. It's the swag box.
Yeah.
And nothing was edited and nothing was planned in this.
No.
As opposed to at my gym, which I went to a couple of days ago, they've got to spin the wheel. I was like, all right, I put it on the 3 months. I let go. It just spins back around because they haven't waited down to like spin again. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but I got a video of it because it was hilarious.
That's pretty cool.
All right, let's go again. You ready, Don?
Yeah, I'm ready. Spin that wheel.
And Canopy.
Canopy.
So Brian was on a few weeks ago from Canopy Management. So audit of your Amazon sales and marketing efforts. And I think Brian will personally hop on a call with you for that also.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. He's a great guy and a great company.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian's awesome, dude. And one more time. You want to do it one more time?
Sure. Spin that wheel.
And
Norm.
So Norm's Tariff Buddy software. So this is actually really, really cool. If you are not using this software or something, or an agent or someone who can really dive deep into your tariffs, it is hugely valuable for your Amazon business to make sure you're using the right tariff codes, because I mean, literally you're paying the government, the US government money, and you're not going to get it back. So get the right codes, make sure it's all accounted for, because otherwise all this money you're getting from Don, you're going to end up giving it to the US government when you don't need to.
Don't do that.
Legally, obviously, be careful with tariff codes and defrauding the government, but make sure you're paying the right amount of money, as always.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Don. Awesome spinning of the wheel. And we are going to get into the last part.
All right.
Oh, sorry, one last bit, because Viv isn't here. She is sick at the moment. If you would like to enter next time, please go to events.sellercandy.com/AMZ-strategy. The link will be posted below this and on the screen right now. And you can enter for next week. You'll be entered for all time into the competition, and we will reach out to you if you win.
Very cool.
Please do tune in. So we have one question that we ask to every guest before we go into the rapid fire questions, which is, what is one strategic element you think most people are missing when selling on Amazon?
Good question. Now, I'm not really an Amazon guy. I am a finance guy. So I'm going to stick with finance and tell them that, the thing that I think people are missing is how expensive monthly payments are. And, we went through the cost of a monthly payment. It's not just the payment, it's the lost profit that you have with those payments. And when you add that in, it's brutal. It's really brutal on your business. And yeah, do you have to pay us eventually? Yeah, you pay us when you're slow, when you're having, you're flush with cash. That's when you should pay us. Our very first client, again, 18 months, no, they didn't make a single payment. We didn't know if anybody would ever pay us. This is a new model. We took a guess. And then they paid us $2,000 in the 19th month, then $3,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. So I called them. I said, congratulations. It looks like you're going to be paying us off pretty soon. They said, no, we're not making any more payments. We did exactly what you said. We're flush with cash. It's better to take the money out of our account, pay you down, your profit share comes down. And in another couple of months, we're coming back to you for more money because we're going to be growing again. And they did. And this is 3.5 years ago. They're still with us. They're still growing. They're doing great. And, they're complimenting AccrueMe every single day, which is fantastic. So
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Super cool. Yeah, and that's a great tip. I mean, along with that, just keeping an eye on the numbers and making sure that we're monitoring the numbers every single month.
Every day. Yeah. You got to know your numbers.
Yeah. So thanks, Don. All right, into the rapid fire questions. So we have 8 questions.
Okay.
They are very, very difficult. No, they're not. Don't worry, there are no wrong answers apart from wrong answers. And are you ready?
I'm sitting down.
So
I'm sweating now.
Sweating. You can jump in the lake afterwards.
That's right.
Question number one. What's your favorite Amazon niche?
I'm going to say kitchen appliances because I love cooking. My
Awesome.
wife made me meals for 30 some odd years, and now for the last 10 years, I make dinner almost every night.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to tell my wife that when she says I don't cook enough because I'm working all the time.
I've really gotten into it.
That's cool. If you could choose no pictures or no reviews, which would you pick?
No pictures. I think reviews, as a buyer, I'm always going straight to reviews. The pictures are nice, but reviews are critical.
Name a country that starts with the letter D.
Denmark.
Which Amazon marketplace is the next big opportunity?
So that hasn't been opened yet?
Doesn't matter. It could be big or could be growing.
I think it's Latin America, not just country. I think it's Latin America. Amazon is opening Latin America. They're growing in Latin America. I think it's probably before long, they'll be equal or larger than Mercado Libre. And, although Mercado Libre is tremendous and fantastic, I think there's going to be good head-to-head competition there. And it's a huge market.
Yeah, great hot take. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, I'm from New York. Come on. That stuff's in California.
Yeah, all those Californians. Name something appealing about working from home.
Oh, man. Afternoon coffee that's been just ground and brewed fresh whenever you want it. Walking my dog every day. Every day I put on my calendar a certain time to walk my dog. So this way, no matter what, I get out of my desk and out of the house, and so does he. And we have a nice leisurely walk for a half hour or so. It's fantastic. And then looking outside windows, at something beautiful as opposed to another building. So I guess I could go on and on and on, but I've been working from home for many years and I love it.
Yeah, me too. Organic sales or ad sales?
Organic.
And name something you'd hate to find swimming around in your bathtub.
Oh, pretty much anything. An eel. How's that?
Eel. Yeah, eel would be very horrible.
Yeah, you couldn't grab it. It'd be difficult to even get it out.
Yeah. See a lot of eels in Vietnam. All right, that's it. Thank you, Don. Best
My pleasure.
answers.
Thank you. This has been great, John. Thank you.
And that's it. So if people want to contact you, follow you, stalk you online, what's the best way of doing that?
Best thing for me is LinkedIn. Again, it's Donald Henig, my full name. Feel free to reach out. I will respond, I promise, with anything.
Nice. So yeah, feel free to reach out to Don. Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Thanks. Don. It's been an amazing time chatting to you as always.
Thank you, John. I've enjoyed
all the listeners who are listening to this now or definitely on the rerun, please do like, subscribe, leave a review for the show, and come back next week for another discussion.
Yeah, make sure you do that. I always hear that all the time, like the podcast, write a review, but take the few minutes that it takes to do it. And it's really meaningful.
Yeah, it really helps. And obviously we read every single review.
Yeah.
Just as Don was saying, like any feedback for the business, any feedback for us,
feel free to write a review and say something like, Don was the best guest. Feel free.
Give us some of Don's merch. He looks so buff.
Yeah, there you go.
So thank you, Don. Thanks so much for being on the show. And
thanks, John.
Talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you. Take care.